You burst into existence as the world's most adorable unfinished project. Congratulations, you're a baby wombat. And by baby, we mean a jelly bean-sized pink blob that somehow needs to crawl its way into your mom's pouch. Talk about your first workout session. Most animals at least get the courtesy of being born looking somewhat like their final form, but not you. You're basically a living rough draft, and your first achievement in life is going to be an Olympic-level climbing expedition up your mother's belly. Your first few weeks are spent in what's essentially nature's finest studio apartment, Mom's pouch. It's rent-free, all-inclusive, and comes with 24/7 room service. Sure, you're blind, hairless, and about as coordinated as a drunk penguin, but who's keeping score? Your only job is to latch onto one of Mom's teats and literally hang out. And boy, do you hang on. Evolution blessed you with some surprisingly strong jaw muscles for someone who looks like a naked mole rat's smaller cousin. The pouch life is pretty sweet. It's warm, secure, and you've got your own private milk bar. Talk about exclusive memberships. Let's fast forward through the next few months because, honestly, watching you drink milk and slowly develop fur isn't exactly primetime entertainment. Although, if we're being real here, your transformation from pink blob to fuzzy potato is pretty impressive. It's nature's version of an extreme makeover, minus the dramatic reveal and tearful family reunion. Each day brings new developments. First a bit of fuzz here, then some more there, until suddenly you're sporting a proper coat of fur. It's like watching a chia pet grow, but cuter and with more personality. Around 5 to 7 months old, you start getting brave enough to peek out of the pouch. The world outside looks massive, probably because you're still roughly the size of a small rugby ball. Everything's new. The grass, the dirt, the sky. It's like someone dropped you into an IMAX theater playing Australia, the extended cut. Your mom's probably rolling her eyes at your dramatic reactions to literally everything. Yes, that's a leaf. Yes, it moves in the wind. No, it's not trying to attack you. You spend these early days alternating between bursts of courage and moments of absolute panic, diving back into the pouch at the slightest unusual sound. A bird chirps? Back to the pouch. A branch snaps? Pouch time. The wind rustles some leaves? You guessed it, straight back to safety. Now comes the awkward phase, your teenage months. You're starting to venture out of the pouch more often, but you're still running back to mom at the first sign of trouble. It's like having a security blanket that occasionally kicks you out to build character. You're learning to graze on grass and roots, though let's be honest, you still prefer mom's milk because why wouldn't you? It's free, it's nutritious, and you don't have to dig for it. Your first attempts at finding your own food are comical at best. You're like a toddler trying to use chopsticks for the first time, except instead of noodles, you're wrestling with grass stems and trying to figure out which roots are actually edible and which ones just taste like dirt. Speaking of digging, let's talk about your newfound obsession. Wombats are basically the engineers of the marsupial world, and you're starting to figure out why. Those chunky little arms of yours, they're not just for show. You're built like a furry bulldozer with powerful limbs and tough claws that can dig through even the hardest soil. Your burrow-building skills are, well, let's call them developing. Your first attempts look less like the sophisticated tunnel systems of adult wombats and more like something a drunk mole would make. But hey, practice makes perfect. You spend hours experimenting with different digging techniques, creating what could generously be called abstract underground art. Some tunnels lead nowhere, others collapse as soon as you finish them, and occasionally you dig straight into your neighbor's burrow. Awkward. Around your first birthday, mom starts giving you the not-so-subtle hint that it's time to move out. No more free rides in the pouch, which, let's be honest, you barely fit in anyway. No more unlimited milk bar, and definitely no more sleeping in her burrow. It's like getting kicked out of your parents' basement, except instead of finding an apartment, you have to dig your own home. Talk about a tough housing market. The first few weeks of independence are a crash course in adult wombat life. You learn quickly that not every patch of ground is suitable for digging, and that some areas are already claimed by other wombats who are significantly less welcoming than your mom. This is when you discover your true superpower. You're behind. No, seriously. Your backside is basically a shield made of cartilage and bone, and it's dense enough to block most predator attacks. When danger comes calling, you dive headfirst into your burrow and use your rear end as a bouncer. Try to imagine a dingo's frustration when it realizes it can't get past what's essentially a living door made of wombat butt. Nature's engineering at its finest, folks. You perfect this defensive technique through countless practice sessions, though most of these practice sessions are actually just you getting spooked by harmless animals and panic diving into your burrow. And then there's your other peculiar claim to fame, your cubic poop. Yes, you read that right. You're the only animal in the world that produces square-shaped droppings. Scientists spent actual time and research money figuring out how this works, and it turns out your intestines have varying elastic properties that literally shape your poop into cubes. Why? Because cubic droppings don't roll away when you place them strategically to mark your territory. It's like leaving tiny geometric calling cards around your neighborhood. Take that, regular round-pooping animals. You take an almost artistic pride in placing these cubic masterpieces in just the right spots, on top of rocks, along your regular paths, and occasionally right in front of another wombat's burrow entrance, because sometimes you just need to make a statement. Adulthood brings new challenges, like finding a mate. Wombat dating is less swipe right, and more, who's got the best burrow? There's no fancy courtship dance, no elaborate displays of affection. It's mostly about showing off your digging skills and proving you've got prime real estate. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, you're not losing sleep over it. You've got grass to eat and tunnels to dig. The dating scene is particularly awkward because wombats aren't exactly social butterflies. Your idea of flirting is basically showing up at someone's burrow, sniffing around a bit, and maybe sharing a patch of grass if you're feeling particularly romantic. Your adult life settles into a comfortable routine. You're nocturnal. So while the rest of the forest is living their best day life, you're basically that neighbor who only comes out at night. During the day, you're chillin' in your burrow, which by now is an impressive piece of underground architecture. We're talking multiple chambers, emergency exits, and climate control, thanks to your excellent insulation engineering. It's the kind of place that would make a real estate agent weep with joy. You've become quite the expert at burrow maintenance, knowing exactly how to shore up walls and when to dig new ventilation shafts. Your burrow is your fortress, your sanctuary, and occasionally your prison when it rains too much and the entrance floods. You've mastered the art of being simultaneously adorable and intimidating. You're built like a furry tank, and other animals have learned to respect your space. They've realized that trying to mess with a wombat is like picking a fight with a fuzzy bowling ball that can really move when motivated. You're not fast often, but when you need to be, you can surprise even the most experienced predators with your burst of speed. Your life becomes a well-choreographed routine of eating, digging, sleeping, and occasionally dealing with territorial disputes that usually involve a lot of grunting and pushing, but very little actual fighting. Life continues this way for several years, digging, eating, occasionally socializing with other wombats, and maintaining your territory with your geometric droppings. But here's the thing about life in the wild. It's not always about who's the strongest or the fastest. Sometimes it's just about luck, and yours is about to run out. It starts with a slight cough, nothing serious at first, just a minor irritation from all the dust in your burrow, you think. But over the weeks, it gets worse. Your fur starts falling out in patches, and your eyes develop a crusty film. You've contracted mange, a parasitic disease that's been sweeping through the wombat population. The mites burrow into your skin, causing intense itching and open sores. Your once impressive armor of thick skin becomes your weakness as the parasites multiply beneath it. You try to maintain your routine, but it becomes increasingly difficult. The constant itching keeps you awake during your usual rest periods, and your weakened state makes you an easier target for predators. Your beautiful burrow, once a testament to wombat engineering, becomes your prison as you spend more and more time hiding from the world, trying to find relief from the constant torment. The geometric droppings become fewer and farther between as you lose the strength to maintain your territory. Final days are spent in the depths of your burrow, too weak to even emerge for food. The empire you built with your geometric droppings and carefully dug tunnels will soon belong to another wombat, who won't even remember your name. But that's the way of the wild. No fairy tale endings, just the brutal efficiency of nature's cycle. Your body will become part of the soil, feeding the grass that will feed the next generation of wombats, who will dig their own burrows and leave their own cubic calling cards, continuing the strange and wonderful cycle of wombat life.